Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a quick library book haul. Actually it's a library sale book haul. One of the things I've mentioned on my book related videos on this channel is that I'm not really a book owner person. I don't necessarily buy books to own them because I know I can check them out from the library. And if you've seen any of my reading wrap-ups or TBR lists, the majority of them are library books. However, I will buy if it is from library book sales because one, I think it's always fun to kind of go through a library book sale because it's going to be, you don't know what you're going to find, whereas like at a bookstore or even like online, you can usually, there are certain books that you can expect, especially depending on what categories or genres you go into. But with a library book sale, it really is completely random because you could find a lot of recent books, older books, books you've never heard of, books you had forgotten about but then realized that you had wanted to read, which happens to me all the time. And the second reason is that I really like supporting the libraries, and in addition to paying my fines, which happens occasionally as someone who borrows lots of books and then forgets to return them. In addition to doing that, I also like to support them in other ways, and I feel like the book sale and donating books and book sales is another one. The third reason is that my local library does an amazing book sale. Like, they have the people that donate books to them and the collection of books that they've acquired for sale over however long that they've been doing this is amazing. Like, it's a small room, but it's like wall to wall. It's like a small used bookstore, and the book sale is usually only one day. It's like an evening if you're a friend of the library, and then all day the next day on a Saturday. And I've found some really great books, and the deals are really great as well. So let me go ahead. I have all the books down here. I'm going to pull them up one by one and show you what I got. I'm going to start with the books that I got from the Boston Public Library, the main library location. These books were actually a little bit more expensive. They were $1 each for paperbacks, and so I ended up spending $3 because I got 3 books. The first one is Outlander, and this is by Diana Gabaldon. I always kind of struggle with her name. So the reason why I got this book is because, one, I have this book on audio through Audible, and I've kind of stalled out about halfway through, and so I'm wondering if part of the reason why I haven't been able to finish it is because it's on audiobook and it's just taking too long for me. So I wanted to get the physical copy of the book to see if maybe I liked it a lot better actually reading it in physical copy and it going faster. It seems like a lot of people really like this book, and I want to like it as well. I just find myself struggling with the audiobook version. Also, as you can see, it looks fairly new. I mean, there's a little bit of wear on the edges, but nothing terrible. None of the pages look really torn or destroyed. It's probably only been read once. So I thought that this was worth getting it for $1. Another book that I got is actually for my husband, and it's this book. It's called Quiet by Susan Cain. Interestingly enough, we had actually had this as a hard copy, but we ended up giving it away to a friend who was moving back home to her own home country, and she had said, like, in lieu of like going away gifts, she would prefer if she could have books, and basically she wanted a book recommendation from us, from different people. So my husband suggested, or ended up suggesting and giving her a copy of this book in the hardcover version. So this is the obviously the paperback version. Just like Outlander, it looks like it's been used or kind of read through maybe once, twice, but otherwise it's a fairly new looking book. I haven't read it, but I want to read it because I am definitely an introvert, and I mean, I've heard some good things. My husband also really liked it. The reason why I ended up getting this instead of like borrowing it from the library is because he thought we still had the hardcover version of this, and he had actually recommended it to one of his students and said, here, I'll let you borrow the book. And then when he went home and said, where's the book? I was like, oh, you already gave it to another student, like, to take home with them. And so I ended up getting this one for him for just $1. So I thought that was worth it. The last book that I got from the like large public library sale is this one, and it's George R.R. Martin's what is this? A Storm of Swords, and it's book 1, Steel and Snow. So I have the first 4. I had to look at my bookshelf. I had the first 4 books of the Game of Thrones series, all in this paperback. What is this, like mass paperback edition, but with this style cover. And so I wanted to kind of continue the series with this mass paperback style cover. I haven't finished the first one. Just like Outlander and just like a couple of other larger books, I've gotten about halfway through that book and then I've stalled out. I do blame that one on not necessarily that I'm not interested or struggling with it, but more just that I get distracted, put the book down, forget about it, and then by the time I get back, I'm like, I don't actually remember what happened, so I reread it. So I've reread the beginning of A Game of Thrones like 3 times, but I've only gotten about halfway through. I am hoping eventually I will get to these books and then decide if I actually want to keep them or donate them back to the library. But until then, I decided to get this book as kind of the continuation in the series. Okay, y'all, I am so excited about this next part. So these are the books that I got from my local library book sale, and in total, I only spent $4 for these books. I have 6 paperbacks and 1 hardcover. $4. 50 cents for paperbacks if they're YA or adult, and then $1 for all hardcover books that are not like children's books. Children's books I think were like 25 cents each or something even cheaper, and I think there might have been like a bundle where you get like 5 for a certain amount. But anyway, let me show you what I got. So actually let me put these down and then show you what I got. The first set of books I am going to talk about together because they are a set. This is the His Dark Materials series by Philip Pullman, and you have the Golden Compass, the Subtle Knife, and the Amber Spyglass. So I have read these before. I remember really liking them when I was younger, but I wanted to read them again. I haven't read them recently since it is a reread, and I do remember liking them. I figured it was worth purchasing, especially since I was getting this entire set for $1.50. So as far as I remember, you have your main character, Lyra, who is this girl who realizes that her mother and father, they're actually on like separate sides of this, separate opinions or dividing opinions on what should be done about this thing called dust, which kind of can be found in their world and like seems to manifest and settle on children but not adults. And so you kind of get into, there's a little bit of like mystical, like I wouldn't necessarily say magic, but definitely there's an element of fantasy because you have this dust element that is kind of seen as almost a little bit more scientific and used in experiments, but not something that's found in our world. Also, each of the characters have their own little demon, which is for children, the demon shifts. And then as an adult, you have like a physical manifestation of basically a part of your spirit in this demon form, and it's like a little animal. So I thought that was really cool. I remember liking that when I was little. So super excited to read these 3 books again and to try and find space for them on my shelves. The next book that I got is just a classic book. This is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. And I actually might have had not this version of the book, but another version of the book and then donated it. I do want to read this. I think I either read an abridged version or I read the complete version back in like high school or early college. I remember really liking it, so I want to read it again because I don't really remember much about it other than I think it's like a tale of revenge. Anyway, it's quite thick. It also looks quite new, like it's never been read and just sat on the shelves for a really long time. That's one thing that I found that I've had a lot of trouble with at this library book sale is I look at books and I go, ooh, that book looks interesting. And then I have to remember that that most likely is the book from my library, from my actual bookshelves that I physically decluttered and donated to the library. I did that quite a few times. I was like, ooh, that book. And then I was like, no, 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 no. You got rid of that book. That's actually probably your book originally. Don't rebuy it. Just get it from the library, like borrow it from the library. So that's probably the hardest part with the library book sales, is not buying back all the books that I've already donated to the library. Anyway, this is a book that I did not donate to the library. It is the, I don't know how you say this, the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. And this is by Marianne Schaefer and Annie Barrows. So there's what the book cover looks like. I know nothing about this book. It said, I think it takes place in World War II, during the island of Guernsey during German occupation. I don't really know anything about this. I have heard of this title before, which is why I picked it up. I had heard this title and kind of some generally positive things from it, so that's why I decided to pick this up. It's also a shorter book. This is definitely one of those books that I am not anticipating holding on to, and then I'm going to redonate to the library once I'm done. But like I said, I like to support the library through book donations and also through book sales, so I went ahead and picked this up. The last two books I'm particularly excited about. So the first one is J.K. Rowling's The Casual Vacancy, and I really like this paperback cover. So again, there's a little bit of wear on the back, but overall it looks like it's been carried around, maybe a little bit, read once, and then that's it. I don't remember it being this thick, but here it is. So I had read this, or I had started reading this way back when this first came out, and this was like the big, next thing, the non-Harry Potter book for J.K. Rowling. And I remember not getting very far into it, and I wasn't sure. I don't remember if it's because I didn't like it, I was bored, or if I just hadn't gotten far enough into it and then got distracted. But I decided to go ahead and pick this up because it was only 50 cents. And I have read her Cormoran Strike, a couple of her Cormoran Strike novels under her pseudonym of Robert Galbraith, and I really like the Cormoran Strike novels, so I wanted to try reading this one. All right, the last one I am most excited about, and it is the largest book, and it is the hardcover book, which I actually really wish I could have gotten this in the paperback, but beggars can't be choosers. This was only $1, and I didn't have to buy it for like $15 or more at the bookstore, but it is this one. It is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. And I had heard from Katrina on Little Book Owl, I think is her YouTube name. I watch her videos all the time, but for some reason I can't remember her name. Katrina from Little Book Owl had mentioned reading this and really, really enjoying it. Basically, there's magic in the world, only there's no more magic, but there's evidence in written history that magic actually existed. So people accept that magic existed, and then there are these two individuals, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and they actually can use real magic. And one of them is the teacher, and then one of them I think is the student or apprentice. But then things happen, and I don't actually know anything else other than that. But Katrina had said she really, really, really enjoyed it, and then coincidentally, this book had been in the back of my mind as something I wanted to pick up. And then I was actually talking to a couple of friends literally last weekend, and they said, have you watched this TV series of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell? And I was like, oh, that's based off a book. And they were like, yeah, and it's a really great TV mini series. I think it's either on Hulu or Netflix. It's on one of them, or is it on Amazon Prime? I don't know. It's on one of those show streaming sites, but they said that they had watched it. They thought that it was really, really well done. They really enjoyed it and didn't want it to end, and so they had wanted to read the book version now. So I was like, now I have to look for this. So because our library book sale has so many wonderful books, I think they actually have quite a great selection. I was like, maybe I can find this book at the book sale, and here it is. Ta-da! It's a normal. It's enormous. It's enormous. This has the slightly, and I have learned the name of this, but had forgotten it when I was talking about Kill Creek in my reading wrap-up. I think I just said the edges are uneven, but it's actually deckled is the name of this technique where the edges are uneven. So the edges here are slightly deckled, which I actually like. I know some people don't like the fact that it looks unfinished, but I like the fact that it looks a little bit more old-timey. So I like the deckled page look. But it's just a hardcover book. The inside is this beautiful cranberry color, and I believe the outside is just a simple black. And then here's the that's the spine. So most likely I'm going to read this without the book cover. I'm hoping that I don't lose this, because the last time I read a hardcover book that was really big, it was The Diviners, and I only got about 30% of the way through, and then I lost the book. So I'm hoping I do not lose this book, but I am super, super excited. So that is my library book sale book haul. I'm curious to know if you've been to any like used bookstore, thrift store, library book sales and have purchased any books recently. What were they? What are you excited to read? If you've read any of the books that I've shown you, what were your thoughts on them? Again, no spoilers, but I'd love to just kind of get a general idea of what people thought of these books. Yeah, so leave those comments down below, and I'd love to have those conversations with you. Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. Please like and subscribe for more book-related videos, and I will talk to you in the comments and see you in the next video. Bye!